I like a good questing knight story. The knight sets out on their mission, they're tested along the way, but they ultimately come out victorious, and in the process, tell us how it's good to be honorable, truthful, and courageous. This is also a popular archetype in video games, where the framework of a quest or a chosen one narrative fits conveniently into the structure of a game. Whether it is Sir Galahad or Mario, they give us a neat story about the fated hero doing the right thing and coming out victorious. However, there are works like the Green Knight in Dark Souls that use the classic archetype of the knight's quest not to tell a tale about good versus evil or how to be virtuous, but to explore meaning in a meaningless universe. Basically, the Green Knight in Dark Souls asks, what's the point? In Dark Souls 1, we play as an undead, a being who is afflicted by the dark side with the curse of undeath, a condition where they will eventually devolve into a mindless zombie in a process called hollowing. We are rescued from our cell in an asylum by a character named Oscar, who in the act of rescuing us is badly injured and on the verge of hollowing. As Oscar rests on the precipice of hollowing, he utters a prophetic family saying about a chosen undead from the asylum who will ring the bell of awakening and learn the fate of the undead. Although the game doesn't explicitly state this, as there is very little in Dark Souls explicitly stated, we recognize that Oscar is giving us our quest. And on our quest we go, struggling against the challenging denizens of Lordran. Our struggle against the game matches our character's struggle against hollowing, against giving up. It is important to understand the relative one-to-one struggle of the player and their character. Many of the mechanics of the game, such as dying and coming back to life, are explained in the world of Dark Souls in order to closely align the player experience with the character experience, thus aligning the thematic core of Dark Souls narrative with the experience of playing it. So we go on our quest, ring the bells of awakening, there are actually two, which awakens a primordial serpent named Kingseeker Framt. He tells us the undead curse is because the first flame, the mystical flame at the heart of the Age of Fire, is fading, and that we are fated to succeed Lord Gwyn, the king, by grabbing the Lord Vessel from a princess in the City of the Gods. We are tested and challenged along the way, but in persevering we get the Lord Vessel from Princess Guinevere, who tells us that we are to inherit the fire of the world to stave off the dark by collecting the souls of lords to match her dad Lord Gwyn's power. So we get the Lord Souls, put them in the Lord Vessel, which opens up the path to the kiln of the First Flame, where we best Lord Gwyn and link the First Flame, sacrificing ourselves to cure the undead and continue the Age of Fire. Sounds pretty heroic, right? It plays out like an Arthurian legend, where we are the fated knight who heroically overcomes challenges and sacrifices ourselves to save the world. But did we save the world? After credits roll, we find ourselves back in the asylum, once again being saved by Oscar, who gives us our quest. On one level, this is the boundary of the game, but as I said before, the game's mechanics and narrative are closely linked, as is the player and character experience. We never see a happily ever after, just credits and it starts all over. So we start the game again, try some new weapons, and take a new path. This time we break the typical sequence of the game and find ourselves in the Abyss, and we meet another primordial serpent, Darkstalker Koth. Koth explains that Gwyn and his Age of Fire fear the dark, because the Age of Man, the Age of the Dark Soul, which exists not in select gods like those of Lordran, but spread throughout humanity. He tells us a prophecy of the human Dark Lord who lets the first flame die and ushers in the Age of Dark. So we embark on our quest to be the Dark Lord, to abolish the Age of Fire that holds man down and props the gods up. We learn that Anor Londo as a golden city is an illusion, and that Princess Guinevere herself is part of the illusion, designed to deceive us and send the undead on their way as a sacrifice. We end up back at Gawain, defeat him, and realize we can just walk away from the prompt to link the first flame. So we walk away, the primordial serpents bow to us, and then the credits roll, and we are back in the asylum, being given our quest by Oscar yet again. And then you realize, either now or in the coming days, that you were neither fated to be the heroic successor to Gwyn, savior of Lordran, or the Dark Lord, savior of humanity. That you are a player playing the game until you stop, and your character is an undead who keeps going until you aren't there, at which point they're basically hollow. So, what is the point? I'll get to that, but first, let's talk about the Green Knight. In the classic tale Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, the Green Knight visits Camelot on Christmas Day. He elicits participation in a game where someone can strike him now, but that the Green Knight will return the blow 1 year later at the Green Chapel. Sir Gawain, Arthur's nephew, volunteers and beheads the Green Knight, who instead of dying, picks up his head and reminds him that he will return the blow in 1 year at the Green Chapel. 1 year later, Gawain embarks on his knightly quest, being tested and ultimately upholding the 5 tenets of the Code of Chivalry, save one instance. Near the end of his journey, Sir Gawain takes lodging at the home of Lord and Lady Bertilac. While staying there, Lord Bertilac makes a deal with Gawain. The Lord will go hunting each day and give Sir Gawain his catch, and Sir Gawain will in return give Lord Bertilac whatever he receives that day. On the final day, Lady Bertilac, who'd been coming on to him but he spurned her advances because he's a chivalrous knight, gives Sir Gawain a magical belt that will protect him from harm. He does not give this to Lord Bertilac when he presents him a fox, and lies about having received anything. At the Green Chapel, the Green Knight delivers the blow, but it only nicks Sir Gawain. The Green Knight reveals himself to be Lord Bertilac, and that this quest was a test of Arthur's knights, and he gave him a nick because he lied about the belt. The Green Knight then proclaims him the most blameless of Arthur's knights, and Sir Gawain returns home where he tells his tale, and Arthur's knights all wear green belts after that as a reminder to never lie. Now, if you've seen Lowry's The Green Knight, you will know that while the framework is the same, what happens within the story is very different. Gawain is not a knight, a point repeatedly made, and is established as something of a fail son coasting through life. He volunteers to play the Green Knight's game to make a name for himself and to live up to the king's expectations to be a chivalrous knight of his court. Unlike the classic tale, however, Gawain fails to live up to any of the 5 tenets of chivalry on his quest, including lying to the Lord about the belt. Gawain attempts to put on the act of being a knight, but it is clear that his heart is not in it, and he is terrified of his impending death. Gawain in the Green Knight is not someone to look up to, he is someone to relate to. He feels the external pressure from society to be something, yet internally he just wants to drink and fool around. Even with his lover Essel, someone he clearly cares for, he cannot promise to her that he would publicly recognize her as his lady because of her status in society, and how he might be perceived as a result. He lacks any conviction, and his aimlessness has landed him in a situation now where he goes to his death for some vague sense of honor that he does not even seem to truly believe in. When he finds himself at the Green Chapel, Gawain sees a vision of what would happen if he fled the Green Knight and returned to Camelot claiming the game complete. He gains honor and knighthood in Camelot, even becoming king. He has a son with Essel, but cannot be with her, and takes the child away and marries a princess from another kingdom. Years later, he goes to war where his son dies, and he retreats to Camelot where his kingdom falls, and he and his remaining family die. After seeing this vision, he removes the belt, something Sir Gawain in the classic tale never did, and tells the Green Knight to deal his blow. The movie ends with the Green Knight saying, "Off with your little head," a statement that could mean off you go, or it's time for a beheading, leaving it ambiguous if he lives or dies. Gawain has accepted the inevitability of his death, whether now or later, and for perhaps the first time in the whole movie, makes a decision himself by taking off the belt and choosing to accept the game. So, what is the point? The point of Dark Souls and the Green Knight is to play the game. We will die and we will go hollow. That is inevitable. We have the freedom to make decisions, and although our decisions will land us in the same place ultimately, what is important is that we make those decisions for ourselves, that we accept the absurd fact that we are trying to find meaning in a meaningless universe, and knowing that, we do it anyway. This is fittingly referred to as existential absurdism in philosophy, and it is at the thematic core of both Dark Souls and the Green Knight. And their primary means of revealing this philosophical core is through the subversion of a classic knight's quest and a chosen one archetype. As illustrated earlier by Sir Gawain in the Green Knight, these classic tales feature idealized characters adhering to the rules of the society that govern them, even if like a Greek tragic figure they feature a flaw. And that is because Arthurian tales, like Greek myths, adhered to the idea that one's essence, a philosophical term for the core qualities of something, precede its existence. Their core characteristics are innate to someone before they are born, and they are fated to be a certain way as long as they are in concert with their essence. So heroes like Gawain are innately knightly, because that is what they are fated to be before they are even born. Existentialism, on the other hand, argues that existence precedes essence, that someone forms who they are throughout their life. Furthermore, existentialism argues that in order to live authentically to one's essence, they must follow an internal truth in accordance with their essence and not unthinkingly adopt the beliefs of external society and religion. Be true to yourself and be thoughtful. The Green Knight subverts the classic tale of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight by making Gawain fail to adhere to the tenets of chivalry in order to highlight these philosophical differences. Dark Souls uses the framework of the Knight's Quest and Chosen One archetypes inherent to both Arthurian tales and video games as a means to intentionally subvert player expectations, as the experience of playing the game strips away these elements to reveal the existential thematic core of the game. These works both act as a conversation with the past. And for me personally, I can't help but feel a sense of tragic nostalgia. It takes me back to childhood reading stories about the knight defeating the dragon and rescuing the princess, or playing Mario and beating up Bowser and saving Princess Peach. There is a comfort in the easy divide of good and evil and fate pulling the strings. But, like Gawain or the Chosen Undead, as we grow older we have to face the fact that we are inescapably moving toward annihilation. And then, for me personally, works like the Green Knight and Dark Souls give hope. We will ultimately end up hollowing and losing our head, but we can play the game and embrace the absurd. We can find happiness and solace in the crushing freedom of our lives by living authentically and according to our handcrafted essence. We can recognize we are all chosen undead and knights on a quest, and as long as we play the game thoughtfully and with personal conviction, we will have found meaning, however fleeting. And that is the point.